High school family, it's time for story time, and I'm going to read you a story about an ocean animal. Think about ocean animals. What animal do you think I'm going to read about? Maybe. Let's get ready to read. Shake your hands high. Shake them low. Shake them fast. Shake them slow. Open and shut them, open and shut them, give them a little snap. Open and shut them, open and shut them, give them a little clap. Open and shut them, open and shut them, place them in your lap. Shh, quiet voices. So, I'm really excited to read this to you. It's beautiful colors and it's a beautiful story. What animal do you see? It is a seahorse. And the seahorse is on what part of the book? Yes, the front cover. What part of the book is this? The back cover, very good. And what part of the book is that? The spine. And what does the spine do? Very good, holds the book together. The title of this story is Mr. Seahorse by Eric Carle. What do you think the story is about? Let's open the book and find out. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist, this way and that. You wiggle and twist. It's time for me to lay my eggs, she said. Can I help? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Oh, yes, thank you, said Mrs. Seahorse, and she laid her eggs into a pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. I'll take good care of our eggs, said Mr. Seahorse. I promise. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by. Ooh, look at all that seagrass. A group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. Can you count how many trumpet fish there are? 1, 2, 3, 4. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Stickleback? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Delighted, replied Mr. Stickleback. I just built a nest and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch. Keep up the good work, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Look at all those helpful daddies. Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. He passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Wow, look at that. Look at those stripes and cool patterns. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Tilapia? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. Why couldn't he answer? His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs. Now you are taking good care of them until they hatch. Mr. Tilapia nodded his head. You must be very happy, said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Wow. He's holding all those eggs in his mouth. As Mr. Seahorse drifted through the sea, he passed right by A pair of leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "You are doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Can you imagine balancing eggs on your head until they hatched? Oh, wow. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind the rock. Oh my goodness, look at how that stonefish looks a lot like that rock. Do you know what that's called? It's called camouflage. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly." You see all those eggs on Mr. Pipe's belly? Wow. "Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "You should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Bullhead?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Tip-top," replied Mr. Bullhead. "Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs and the eggs hatched, and now I'm babysitting." "You are doing a fine job," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Oh, wow. Look at all of those little baby fish with Mr. Bullhead. He is very busy. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that. At last, the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. "Oh no," said Mr. Seahorse. "I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own." Wow. And that is the end. So Mr. Seahorse is a very special daddy who helps the mommy hatch the babies. What was your favorite animal in this story? I like that one too. Okay, school family. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.